I'm Alison LaGrange and you're watching Firstpost. In the next few minutes, we'll get you the top 40 updates from around the world, only here on Fast and Factual. Let's get started. India's External Affairs Minister Jaishankar will meet with Russian Foreign Minister Sergey Lavrov in Moscow. This is to review bilateral relations and to prepare for President Vladimir Putin's upcoming visit to India. The talks come amid US warnings of sanctions over the India-Russia energy trade. Earlier, Jaishankar co-chaired a meeting of the Inter-Governmental Commission with the Russian Deputy Prime Minister, where he called for creative and innovative approaches to handle global trade challenges. India successfully test-fired its Agni-5 intermediate-range ballistic missile from the integrated test range in Odisha. Now, according to the Ministry of Defense, the trial validated all operational and technical parameters. The Defense Research and Development Organization has described the Agni-5 as nuclear capable with a range of over 5,000 kilometers and advanced navigation and guidance systems. The Indian government has granted Z category CRPF security cover to Delhi Chief Minister Rekha Gupta. This comes a day after she was attacked by a man at her residence during a public grievance event. The CRPF personnel took charge of her security today, with additional deployment around her residence and office to ensure 24-hour protection. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky stated that if Russian President Vladimir Putin is not ready to meet him, then he would like a strong reaction from America. Zelensky further said that he responded immediately to the proposal for a bilateral meeting by US President Trump. And this comes after Ukraine reported that Russia launched 574 drones and 40 missiles overnight, marking one of Moscow's largest assaults in weeks. Ukrainian air defense intercepted 546 drones and 31 missiles, but at least one person was killed and over 18 injured. The strike comes at a time when US President Donald Trump is trying to broker a ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine. And Israel's military has begun the initial stages of an operation to take control of Gaza City, calling up tens of thousands of reservists. The Israeli Defense Forces have already held the city's outskirts and aim to deepen the attack on Hamas. Hundreds of Palestinians have reportedly fled neighbourhoods in Gaza City as the offensive intensifies. Meanwhile, ceasefire proposals remain under consideration. Chinese President Xi Jinping visited Tibet for the first time since 2021, attending a grand ceremony in Lhasa. Speaking before thousands at the historic Patala Palace, Xi called for a political stability, ethnic unity, and religious harmony in the region. The event featured Tibetan dances, military parades, and official slogans, as China faces ongoing criticism over its treatment of Tibetans. And US Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard announced that she is cutting agency staff by over 40% by the 1st of October. The changes eliminated units, including the Foreign Malign Influence Center, which functions shifted to other agencies. Gabbard said that the overhaul would streamline operations, save more than $700 million annually, and refocus the agency on providing unbiased intelligence. The Office of Director of National Intelligence was established after the September 11, 2001 attacks. And a fire broke out on the USS New Orleans, a U.S. Navy amphibious transport dock ship anchored off Okinawa in Japan. The blaze lasted 12 hours before being extinguished on Thursday morning. 2 sailors sustained minor injuries, and the cause is under investigation, while the ship's crew remains on board. And New Zealand announced a $1.57 billion defense package, including 5 Sikorsky MH-60R Seahawk helicopters and 2 Airbus A321XLR planes. The helicopters, equipped with anti-submarine torpedoes, Hellfire missiles, and advanced targeting systems, are aimed at strengthening maritime security. The Defence Minister Judith Collins said that the move responds to rising global tensions. And in climate news, heavy rainfall hit northern Japan's Tohoku region on Wednesday. Record rain in Akita Prefecture caused severe flooding in the Semboku city. The district recorded at least 260 millimeters of rain in 24 hours, the highest ever in August. The overflowing river cuts off a road and left at least 46 people isolated in their homes. In India, heavy rains battered Gujarat's coastal districts, triggering floods on Wednesday. Several people were evacuated from low-lying areas as dams and rivers began to overflow. Meanwhile, National Disaster Relief Forces and SDRF teams have been deployed to carry out evacuation and relief operations. The Weather Department has forecast more showers in the coming days. And wildfires continue to rage across northern and central Portugal as it claimed a third life on Wednesday. A man died while helping fight flames in the northern municipality of Mirandela. Meanwhile, at least 15 others were injured as crews battled 4 large fires across the country. Now, authorities said that fires have already destroyed over 261,000 hectares of land this year, nearly double last year's total. Ecuador's indigenous people protested against oil drilling in the Amazon on Wednesday. The demonstration took place outside Ecuador's constitutional court. At least hundreds of the Waorani people marched in Quito, demanding the government respect their territorial rights. Protesters said authorities have ignored a popular vote to halt drilling in the Yasuni National Park. Meanwhile, community leaders warned the oil project threatens ancestral lands, isolated tribes, and biodiversity. And scientists warn that surging tourism is polluting Antarctica. The number of tourists rose from at least 20,000 to over 120,000 in the last 2 decades. Researchers found that areas with human activity now have 10 times more heavy metals than 40 years ago. Meanwhile, experts said a single tourist could speed up the melting of at least 100 tons of snow. The study urged faster use of clean energy to protect the white continent. And on to business and tech news now. The US dollar hovered below a 1-week high earlier today as Asian stock markets traded mixed ahead of the US Federal Reserve's annual symposium. Central bankers from around the world were gathering in Jackson Hole. The investors focusing on Fed Chair Jerome Powell's speech due on Friday. Japan's Nikkei retreated further from its record peak, while South Korea's Kospi and Australia's benchmark index recovered gains. And investors have panned retailer Target's decision to promote insider Michael Fidelke as the company's next chief executive, calling him unlikely to fix long-standing problems. Fidelke, a 20-year veteran at Target, will replace Brian Cornell in February and said that his top priority was to get back to growth. But shares on Wednesday dropped more than 6%, even as the company's quarterly sales and revenue came in ahead of expectations. And retailer Lowe's announced that it had agreed to acquire the interior building products distributor Foundation Building Materials for nearly $8.8 billion, expanding its business with professional contractors. This came after it also raised its annual sales projections for this year and beat the second quarter profit expectations. The California-based foundation building provides drywall, metal framing, ceilings, and other products to about 40,000 customers through more than 370 locations. And the U.S. Federal Trade Commission sued the operations of LA Fitness and other gyms, saying that they made it exceedingly difficult for customers to cancel their memberships. The FTC alleged that Fitness International and fitness and sports clubs forced members to deal with specific managers who were often unavailable. The lawsuit was filed in California federal court as the FTC continued its broader crackdown on hard-to-cancel subscriptions. And Guess said that it had agreed to be taken private in a $1.4 billion deal involving its co-founders, its chief executive, and Reebok owner Authentic Brands. The transaction gave Authentic Brands a 51% stake in Guess intellectual property, while existing shareholders retained the remainder. Guess said that the going private would give it more flexibility to navigate the tough market conditions and to pursue a long-term strategy. And Sony announced that it would raise the price of all PlayStation 5 consoles in the United States by around $50 starting today. The most expensive PS5 Pro version is expected to cost about $750 as the company navigates a slow recovery in the video game market and US tariffs raise the cost pressures. The price increase follows similar hikes in Europe earlier this year. Sony said that prices for other markets and accessories remain unchanged. And Alphabet's Google announced a new lineup of Pixel smartphones and gadgets during its annual Made by Google event in New York. The event highlighted Google's push to embed artificial intelligence across its products, with celebrities like Jimmy Fallon and the Jonas Brothers demonstrating AI features. New Pixel 10 models include AI upgrades such as a camera coach, an assistant that surfaces relevant information, and real-time language translation for calls. Prices start at $799 for the base unit and $1,799 for the foldable model. And medical monitoring tech company Masimo has sued the U.S. Customs and Border Protection. This over the agency's decision to allow Apple to import Apple Watches with blood oxygen reading technology. Masimo claimed that Customs have reversed its own decision from last year without notifying the company, depriving it of rights and approving watches that use Masimo's pulse oximetry technology. Now, the company has asked the federal court in Washington, D.C. to halt the agency's ruling and to continue blocking Apple from selling watches with the blood oxygen feature. And Microsoft said that it had scaled back access for some Chinese companies to its early warning system for cybersecurity vulnerabilities. The move followed speculations that Beijing was involved in hacking attempts, this against Microsoft SharePoint servers last month. Microsoft said it would no longer provide these firms with proof of concept code, which mimics the operation of malicious software and helps vulnerabilities be addressed quickly. And a new report suggested that Intel is in discussions with large investors to receive an equity infusion at a discounted price, just days after the chipmaker received a $2 billion capital injection from Japan's SoftBank. The new funding would reportedly provide another financial lifeline for Intel, as billions of dollars invested in expanding its contract manufacturing business have strained the balance sheet. And moving on to sports, and we start with cricket. India's cricket board has unveiled a new Bronco test to monitor player fitness. It involves repeated shuttle runs of 20 meters, 40 meters, and 60 meters. Players must complete 5 sets and run 1,200 meters in under 6 minutes. The new test comes after players were found unfit in the England Test series. India's Shubman Gill remains number 1 in the ODI batting rankings with 784 points. Abhishek Sharma also holds number 1 in the T20I rankings and Tilak Varma is number 2 in the T20I list. Meanwhile, Surya Kumar Yadav at number 6 in the shortest format. India hasn't played ODIs since winning the Champions Trophy earlier this year. In football news, Norway has decided to donate match profits for Gaza aid relief. They will play a World Cup qualifier against Israel on the 11th of October. Ticket profits from their match will be sent for Gaza humanitarian aid. Norway's Football Federation said it cannot remain indifferent to civilian suffering. Israel's federation has urged Norway to also condemn Hamas attacks. And Bayern Munich held their annual Oktoberfest photo shoot. Players wore traditional shorts made out of Bavarian leather, and they also posed with the beer steins. New signing Luis Diaz has joined the English captain Harry Kane for the celebrations, and Bayern start their Bundesliga campaign against RB Leipzig on Friday. And China has announced a nationwide plan to boost tennis at all levels. The goal is to put at least 10 Chinese players in world's top 100 rankings. China also wants 100 plus players competing internationally. The push follows Zheng Qinwen's Olympic singles gold in Paris 2024. And Sarah Irani and Andrea Vavasori retained their US Open mixed doubles crown. They beat Iga Swiatek and Casper Ruud 6-3, 5-7, 10-6 in the final. The event was revamped with superstar singles players in the draw. Even the prize money jumped to $1 million. This is 5 times last year's reward. And Neeraj Chopra will not compete in the Brussels Diamond League. He has already qualified for the Zurich Diamond League final. It will be held on the 27th and 28th of August. Chopra has 15 points from 2 appearances this season, and the Zurich final will decide the 2025 Diamond League Javelin champion. In Formula One, Malaysia won't bring back its F1 race, last held in 2017. It was announced by the country's sports minister. Organizing costs, which can reach over $70 million, are too high. The F1 calendar is already crowded, and Singapore and Thailand are already competing for slots. Malaysia's government is open to private companies funding a future return. And Olympic boxing champ Imani Khalif of Algeria has denied reports of her retirement. Her former manager claimed that she had left the world of boxing. He later clarified that he meant only her commitments with a local club in Nice. Khalif hit back, saying that she still is training regularly and remains active. Staying with boxing, Jake Paul will face the unbeaten Gervonta Tank Davis. The clash is scheduled on the 14th of November in Atlanta. The fight will be live streamed on Netflix. Davis is a lightweight champion, but his belt won't be on the line. He has fought 31 matches with a record 30 victories and 1 draw. Meanwhile, Jake Paul has 12 wins and 1 loss. And in entertainment news, Reframe, a coalition promoting gender balance in film and TV, awarded its prestigious Reframe stamp to 45 of the top 100 shows of the 2024-25 season. This included The Bear, The Pit, Hacks, and Dying for Sex. The stamp recognizes productions with significant representation of women, non-binary, and trans professionals across key creative roles. This year saw a rebound of 6.5% in gender-balanced shows after a pandemic-era slump. Dua Lipa's chart-topping anthem Levitating has officially soared past 1 billion views on YouTube. The high-energy video, directed by Warren Fu in collaboration with TikTok, shows the pop star in a glittery retro-futuristic elevator before landing on a disco dance floor in space. It's now Lipa's 3rd video to cross the milestone after New Rules and No Lie. And Severance breakout star Tramell Tillman is swinging into the Marvel universe with a role in Sony and Marvel's upcoming Spider-Man brand new day. While his character details remain under wraps, he joins an ensemble featuring Tom Holland, Zendaya, Jacob Batalon, and John Bernthal as the Punisher and Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk. The film marks Marvel's latest expansion of the Spider-Man saga, following the events of No Way Home. And Apple TV Plus has released the first look at Season 4 of The Morning Show. Its flagship drama starring Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon. In this season, the newsroom tensions escalate with new power struggles, betrayals, and rivalries. Since premiering in 2019, The Morning Show has been one of Apple TV Plus's biggest hits, tackling themes of media ethics, corporate politics, and personal ambition. And Sydney Sweeney says that her bathwater bliss soap was mainly criticized by women. She also pointed out that Jacob Elordi's equally bizarre bathwater candle, inspired by his Saltburn role, was widely celebrated instead. The actor says that the controversy reflects how female celebrities often face harsher scrutiny for the same kind of marketing gimmicks that male stars are applauded for. And that's all we have for you on this episode of Fast and Factual. Thank you for watching and stay tuned to First Post.